Hi, my name is Nia Hampton, and I am the founder of the Black Femme Supremacy Film Fest. We have been having our virtual festival this entire week from Monday until today. So today is the last day to watch any of the content that you've seen us talk about. I'm so honored to host this table reading, recording of a table reading of Blacklight created by Maha Chielo. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that. And the work is really awesome and very timely, considering that we're coming out of some major hurricanes in the Gulf Coast. And I'm really excited for folks to watch it. Afterwards, we're going to have a conversation with the artist and a few different organizations who are doing really great environmental work. And I'll just kind of quickly read about who they are, and then afterwards stick around to see more about what you can do to help what's going on in the Gulf Coast right now. So as artists living on the Gulf Coast, Maha Chielo and Reverend Houston R. Cypress will discuss ways that Black and Indigenous communities can use the arts to educate the public on environmental issues and to preserve culture and stories. Klie Kliebert is currently doing Hurricane Ida disaster relief in New Orleans and Southern Louisiana. Valencia Gunder is currently doing mutual aid for Hurricane Ida and disaster relief for Haiti. All panelists will discuss the work being done across the coast to address climate injustice, provide disaster relief, and protect land and communities. So Blacklight is a dark comedy series based on Maha's experience as a Katrina survivor and her life as a sex worker and organizer in post-Katrina New Orleans. So stick around. If you are not familiar with our Facebook page or our YouTube page, please go there so that you can see how to directly donate to folks. And then after doing the conversation, I'm sure they'll let us all know how to do that as well. So let me add this to stream.
And I'm ready to go. All right. Interior, strip club, manager's office, day. Omar, late 30s, Bronx native, Puerto Rican man, sits behind a desk in a messy small office.
Like the song says, there is no sex in the champagne room.
Brianna, 23, pudgy, light-skinned, Black woman with a full face of makeup with heavy eyeliner, nose ring, and several ear piercings, wearing combat boots, black ripped skinny jeans, and a black Detroit Metal City hoodie. Sits across the desk from Omar, staring at him wide-eyed and nervous. Her eyebrows raised in surprise.
You cannot take your bottoms off or pull them to the side. You cannot touch the customer's crotch with your hands. You cannot blow the customer or eat the customer's pussy.
Brianna blushes a little bit and looks embarrassed.
You cannot have sex with the customer. You cannot urinate on the customer.
Brianna's eyes widen even more.
Pee on the...
Look, you can do whatever you want on your own time, but in here, these are the rules. Got it?
I'm not peeing on anyone outside of here.
All right, cool. Just sign at the bottom saying you understand.
Omar gestures to the paper between them. Brianna signs. Omar pulls an ID and social security card out of the scanner and hands them back to her.
What'd you say you wanted your name to be again?
Zion.
Exterior New Orleans day. Pan over, montage of iconic French Quarter and Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Depicted are cooks, adult street performers, servers, bartenders, child street tap dancers, and drummers. Strippers hanging in the club doorways calling to potential customers. Young club walkers competing for white men in suits, drug addicts, possible prostitutes, drug dealers, possible pimps, homeless people, men hustling white tourists. Nearly everyone featured is Black. Chorus of Like a Jungle by C. Murder plays in the background. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Interior Community Center night. A mostly Black crowd bucks up. Nia, late teens, Black female, wearing a burgundy asymmetric bob wig, fake lashes, and hoop earrings. She speaks from a panel group.
Just because I don't have my degree or because I take your order at the drive-thru don't mean I don't deserve the same respect as the next person. I go to work every day. I should at least make enough money to take care of myself on.
The crowd applauds. The event host Malik, 27, black male, attractive, charismatic, ladies man with dreads and hoop nose earrings, wearing a green jacket with African American flag and red star patches over an Asada t-shirt and combat boots, stands up in the front row.
Thank you for that, Nia. It's always good to get a chance to hear from the sisters.
He makes brief, flirtatious eye contact with her. She returns it and smiles.
I'm just looking at all the beautiful faces in the audience, and I know we deserve better. We deserve politicians that aren't constantly undermining our dignity and survival as they sit back and stay paid. We just have to demand it. And thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I know we all have a lot of things going on, but there's strength in numbers. And if we can continue to make moves like this and show up to the city council meeting next week, they'll see that we are a force to be reckoned with. All power to the people.
All power to the people. Interior Community Center night. Brianna wearing a black All My Heroes Have FBI Files shirt, distressed black skinny pants, combat boots, heavy eyeliner, peeling black nail polish, colorful African print head wrap, and an afro. Sits at a folding table with clipboards with sign-up sheets for upcoming meetings. People begin to file out, and some stop to put down their information. Malik walks over.
You need help, love?
I think I got it under control.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
He takes a seat.
So I heard this was all you. You invited these people out here.
Nah, I just try to talk to as many people as possible and tell them how important it is. I mean, raising minimum wage, better working conditions, who wouldn't want to?
I bet they couldn't say no to that pretty face, huh?
He looks her up and down. She smiles and glances down momentarily.
Nah, you probably came up with that hair wrap and that pretty smile. They barely even heard a word you said. I mean, probably just like, where do I sign up?
Blushing, Brianna giggles and looks away. Malik's eyes wander to her chest.
Oh, I like that shirt, by the way.
Malik continues to stare at her shirt. Brianna doesn't notice as she holds out the bottom, reading the printed quote, "All my heroes have FBI files."
Thanks. I just got it. I love yours too. I just read her book over the summer. She's amazing.
Oh, for real? Well, glad you finally got around to it. It's powerful. She knew how important it was for people to be connected to the streets. It's the only way we can really advocate for our own people, no matter how much education you receive.
Daniel, late 20s, early 30s, black man, the Barack Obama type, wearing a blazer over a button down in khakis, approaches table with a big smile.
Hi.
Daniel extends his hand to Malik.
I really enjoyed that event tonight, my brother.
Malik raises his eyebrows slightly, but composes himself, shaking Daniel's hand.
I love to see black people really getting together for a good cause. Don't see that every day. We have to do this more often.
Sure.
Listen, my frat is co-sponsoring a Buy Black event next month with Boost Mobile at Congo Square. Representatives from all of our affiliated black-owned businesses will have a table at the showcase. There will be food, speakers, performances. You know, we're trying to get the word out, if you can let your people know.
Daniel hands Malik a flyer. Malik nods, unenthusiastically.
Did you know billions of dollars slip through black hands every year? If that money stayed in our communities, we could have built wealth and uplift ourselves.
Daniel notices Brianna and glances at her shirt.
Phew, FBI files, huh? Here, take my card. I'm a lawyer, in case y'all get into some trouble.
Only Daniel laughs as he hands them a business card. Daniel walks away. Brianna and Malik roll their eyes to one another.
So you think if I'm on trial for murdering a state trooper, he'll be ready to defend me?
I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on how many stacks you dropping at one of these affiliated black-owned businesses.
Malik and Brianna laugh heartedly.
So what you saying? You're not trying to buy black?
If it gets a good turnout, it's worth it to pass through, hand out some of our pamphlets. but it's not really my thing. Do any of these businesses hire from within their community and pay living wage?
Malik looks up at her with interest and smiles.
But they're job creators, love.
Brianna sits up straighter and begins to talk with more conviction.
Even if they did pay fair, it still leaves working people at their mercy.
Wealth doesn't trickle down from the rich to poor, no matter what color.
We're not going to fight capitalism with Black capitalism. We're going to fight it with socialism.
Malik wears a huge smile and nods approvingly.
Oh, okay, so you into Fred Hampton too?
Of course, I maybe thought like that in college, but not after all I know now. People stay talking about I have a dream, but you know his final book, Dr. King said that Black people should organize across color lines and demand federal policies that eradicate poverty for good.
Malik scoots closer.
And you know the Black Panther Party evolved too. They changed their 10-point program from we want an end to the robbery by the white man of our Black community to robbery by the capitalists.
Brianna smiles.
I
Her face
appreciate
lights up even more.
I appreciate what y'all are doing out there, but I gotta say, you gotta be prepared for the consequences of your actions.
While Brianna is distracted, Malik begins to talk to Nia.
So you headed out already, Queen?
Yeah. I mean, unless there's something else going on.
Nah, not that I know of.
Well, I was thinking about going to go get something to eat. Maybe at that spot we went to before.
Nia lingers for a moment.
Cool, well, be safe, love.
Malik gives Nia a quick hug.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Nia walks away confused and a little dispirited. Malik turns his attention back to Brianna. Most of the room has cleared out. Malik watches as Brianna folds the last remaining chairs around them.
So you got a number or I gotta sign up for one of these sheets for you to text me?
Brianna laughs. Malik pulls out his phone and gives it to her. She enters her number.
Bet. I'm gonna hit you up. Take care, love.
Malik gives her a hug and exits. Brianna smiles excitedly to herself as she continues packing up the room. Andre, early 40s, Black male with a beard, wearing glasses, a long wooden bead necklace, green tunic, and navy linen pants. And Khalil, mid-20s, Black male with shoulder-length dreads, wearing a black short sleeve button-down and black Dickies. Hey, approach Brianna now holding boxes.
Don't yourself, baby. Let me get that.
Khalil takes the boxes and exits as Brianna smiles in gratitude.
I'm really proud of you, Brianna. You've taken on a lot of new responsibilities and done so gracefully. You should have been on that stage tonight too.
Brianna blushes and looks down.
I get nervous in front of big crowds.
Hey, don't let fear hold you back. You should be taking on more leadership positions.
You really think so?
Andre smiles warmly. Exterior, restaurant, front and French Quarter, night. Cherish, 19, Black woman with black straight wig, industrial piercing, multiple earlobe piercings with diamond studs and manicured nails, wearing server uniform and wine red lipstick. Looking drained, gets into the passenger seat of Brianna's car. Cherish pulls down mirror, flips out a septum piercing hidden in her nostrils, rips off her wig and scratches out all pins and braids, revealing dyed purple hair and natural curls. As they drive, we see scenery of passing neighborhoods cut in.
I just be sweating on that wig. What you smiling so hard for?
Nothing. Okay, so I met this guy and he's perfect.
Cherry's eyes lights up and she seems more uplifted. As she cracks up, she straightens loose tip money and counts it.
Oh, he's everything, girl.
They all are in the beginning, girl.
No, he's different.
Okay, well, tell me about this man who got my sister speeding with no seatbelt and barely watching the road.
Brianna buckles up and slows down. The sign above them says New Orleans East.
He's just so cute. And oh my God, you should have heard him at the event tonight. He's just really revolutionary and really knows his shit. I know we can talk for hours and hours.
Did you talk for hours and hours?
I mean, no, only like a few minutes, but I could just feel it. He had this vibe about him. We could have like this intellectual and spiritual connection.
Girl, if you say so. Let's just go get my baby so we can get home.
Cherish finishes counting and looks at the money with disappointment.
Rich people are cheap as fuck.
Ain't that the truth? Exterior, apartment complex, New Orleans East. Later. The girls walk up a flight of stairs, still talking and laughing. Interior, apartment, living room night. Clara, 40s, black woman, dozes off on the couch of the modest living room. Mostly lit by the glow of the TV. Childhood pictures of the girls decorate the room. In between the photos are other trinkets like porcelain angel figurines. Cherish's academic awards and Brianna's drawings are displayed. A woman faintly heard being interviewed on TV. The TV cuts out to a black screen and then comes back on loudly. Clara wakes up suddenly, and we hear a strong wind outside.
Residents whose homes were flooded during Katrina were paid out by HUD based on their home's market value, not the cost of repair. And we all know Black neighborhoods have lower value based purely on skin color. So guess who, en masse, could not afford to rebuild out of pocket and were never welcomed back home?
Hello. A framed photo shows a younger, happier Claire on the front porch of a purple and green shotgun-style home embracing an equally happy late 30s age Black man. Alongside an age 12 Brianna and age 8 Cherish, wearing private Catholic school uniforms with kente cloth print vests, holding backpacks and making silly faces. The date on the frame is 2005, pre-Katrina, afterlife, another life. A second frame photo shows Clara, Brianna, and Cherish in front of an apartment. Brianna, age 16, scowls at camera, arms crossed, with heavily lined eyes, half hidden under green straightened bangs, black pants covered in rips and safety pins, black studded belt, and black My Chemical Romance shirt. Cherish, age 12, with burgundy box braids, smiles politely at the camera in a public school uniform with white Vans, with Sailor Moon and tuxedo mask drawn in Sharpie on each foot. The date on the frame is 2009, post-Katrina.
Now, do not come up in here with all that noise. I just got here to lay down. She been fussing all day. Where the both of us out?
The girls become silent immediately. Brianna goes to hug and kiss her mom, smiling. Cherish stays behind, rubbing her arm and looking around before also doing somewhat reluctantly. Brianna sits down next to Claire and hugs her arm.
Oh my God, Mom, the panel was so good. We got such a good turnout and everything.
I'm happy for you, sweetie. You got yourself in a good place and are doing positive things for the community. I'm proud of my baby.
Cherish quickly exits to another room. Clara hugs and kisses Brianna. Cherish returns holding a sleeping Jasmine, infant.
Work was fine. Thanks for asking.
Clara and Brianna break their embrace. Clara looks annoyed. Brianna looks anxious.
And you're welcome for watching your baby all day. When you assured me that Jermaine was going to come through this time.
Tense moment of silence. Cherish breaks eye contact first with Clara.
Thanks.
Excuse me?
Thank you for watching her so I can get extra hours. I know she can be a handful.
You're welcome. I'm worried about her. I've been praying for you. It's not easy raising a child alone. You deserve better than this, and so does she. I hope Jermaine can get it together and finally step up.
He is. He's trying. You know, everything with his art is...
I'm sorry, baby, but trying doesn't always cut it. You have to do it, to be there. I raised you better than this. Art is cute and all, but when you have a child, it's not about just passion. It's about responsibility. I just worry with the way his mom coddles him.
I'm leaving.
It's late and everyone's just tired.
Exterior office building day. Shots of housing for all nonprofit building. Interior office conference room day. A cell phone robbery is loudly. Brianna scrambles to hit ignore on a call from a 1-800 number while sitting at a conference call with Emily, 22, white woman, and Nadia, 40s, Arab woman manager. Nadia looks at Brianna with an ignored expression.
Sorry.
I'm ready to present Nadia.
Go ahead, Emily.
I'm not trying to assume the worst. I just really care about the goals of our mission being met. So I did some extra digging, and a lot of our clients aren't maintaining the set requirements for our assistance programs.
Brianna becomes visibly more annoyed as Emily talks.
How so?
Brianna's face switches from annoyed to offended as Emily responds.
Well, for example, Patricia Williams has stopped working completely. She gets Social Security, but that still puts her below the financial requirement. Participants need to be contributing on their own. We can only help people who want to help themselves.
Miss Patricia can't work anymore. That store got rid of her because they can't work around her dialysis schedule. She's going 3 times a week now.
Brianna, please don't interrupt Emily when she's speaking.
Thank you, Nadia. Like I said, I'm not trying to cause problems, but there are others too. Anthony Harris hasn't even signed up for any of the job training programs that we've selected for him.
I wouldn't either if I were him. None of those programs guaranteed a job at the end. What's the point of training for a job that doesn't exist? The problem isn't him. The city doesn't provide well-paying jobs for its own people.
But that was one of the requirements and conditions in which we allowed him into the housing program in the first place.
But we are asking him to do something that doesn't exist.
Brianna, stop attacking Emily. You are being really hostile right now while we are trying to be productive and find solutions.
By doing what? Ignoring the real problems?
I understand what you're saying. I agree that the city lacks in some areas, but the world just isn't a perfect place. That's where organizations like this one come in. But those that we choose to help also need to take on some personal responsibility.
Brianna crosses her arms and shakes her head in disbelief. Nadia glances at her watch.
Well, it looks like that's all we have time for today. Emily, you can get back to work. Brianna, please hang back for just a moment.
Brianna's demeanor changes from one of anger to one of apprehension of what's to come.
Honestly, Brianna, I wasn't going to say anything just yet, but you really haven't been as driven or committed lately. And then on top of that, to have these unprofessional outbursts is one thing, but I know you've been telling clients more information about their cases than what's appropriate, and essentially downing what we do here. Do you think you're helping when you wedge yourself between us and the clients? How can we even trust to work with you at this point?
I'm just trying to help people.
Your heart might be in the right place, but your tactics certainly aren't. Consider yourself on probation.
Exterior French Quarter riverfront day. Brianna is sitting on the bench overlooking the river as the sun begins to set. Malik approaches with 2 to-go cups of tea in hand. As Malik offers 1 cup to Brianna, she looks up and takes it, smiling.
There she is, and that smile.
Brianna gets up and gives him a hug. He embraces her tightly. They take a seat, and he stares into her eyes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Do you live over here?
You know, I stay around here sometimes, but they put you on probation? You? Even in that skirt?
Brianna laughs and playfully nudges his shoulder with her own.
I had 3 Black clients so far move away because they couldn't get by here anymore. It's a joke. I hate to see us get pushed out and pushed around. It's like if we weren't all removed by the storm, they're making us leave on our own one by one. If I'm not there, who will look out for them?
That's fucked up, but you already know what's up when it's supposedly for us but not by us. Shit, we not even consulted.
The other interns come for money. I'm out here struggling for no reason because we barely help our clients in the end.
It really make you put in that work for that paycheck, huh?
More like I gotta sell pieces of my soul every day.
It's not cool, love.
I know. It's not even a real job. It's just a stipend. I calculated that for all the hours they worked me. I don't even make the federal minimum wage. How is that even legal?
Shit, when have they ever cared if something was legal? The law is just for us, so we can stay busy getting bullshit fines and locked up while they do whatever the fuck they want.
Malik glances at his vibrating phone. Brianna is too impassioned to notice.
I mean, I've been applying for jobs for like 2 months now. Nothing. You know, these other nonprofits are all the same. They don't even really want to hire us. I wonder how much time I have left.
Well, it's just probation, right?
That's just a formality. But I know next slip up and I'm out.
I heard you about to start doing more organizing, though. Maybe you'll have more time for that.
Malik's phone vibrates again. And this time he ignores it.
Yeah, I want to so bad. But it doesn't pay the bills, you know?
Well, love, it's on you. Revolutionaries have always had to make sacrifices. I know you're smart. You figure something out.
Brianna looks defeated and on the brink of tears. Malik scoots in closer and puts his arms around her. He gets a slight peek down her blouse. Ooh.
Listen, I mean, I'm loving this skirt, but I know this ain't the real you.
What do you know about the real me?
Not as much as I want to, yet. But I saw you glowing the other day when I met you, and this job got you trying to suppress yourself and crying. And I know it don't make you happy.
When I'm working with y'all, I feel like I'm doing something that really matters, you know? Like, when I'm 102, I want to look back and say I changed people's lives for the better. I want to do stuff that I care about and has a purpose, instead of feeling helpless and watching everything happen.
I believe in you.
Brianna hugs Malik tight and leans into his chest. The sunset is at its most colorful and golden, just before finally setting. Malik's phone vibrates again. He looks at it quickly, angling it out of her line of vision.
I gotta go, but you got this though.
Malik stands. He touches Brianna's chin and leaves his empty tea on the bench. The sun is gone. She is left alone in the dark. Exterior. A side street in the French Quarter night. Brianna walks alone, a dark side street, lost in thought. The primary light sources are antique-style lantern streetlights. The 300-year-old Creole cottages and townhouses seem vacant and dark with their curtains drawn. A homeless man holding a sign on the doorstep goes unnoticed by both Brianna and a few drunk, most white tourists passing by. After passing them, and seemingly alone again, she hears a rustling noise behind her. She turns around, but there doesn't appear to be anyone. She continues walking a bit quicker. Brianna stops abruptly as she sees the shadow of a dark silhouette behind her in the streetlight. She turns around, but there doesn't appear to be anyone there. In her peripheral vision, she catches a glimpse of a dark silhouette in the shadows of one of the townhouse's black iron balconies, but it vanishes just as quickly. Brianna looks confused and then shakes her head before she is startled by an older black man who approaches from the other side of her.
Easy, beautiful. Why do you look so sad?
Brianna, still a little shaken up, ignores him and crosses the street.
Hey, where you going so fast, darling?
Brianna walks up a little faster. The man crosses the street to follow her.
Don't be like that. I'm just trying to say hello. and tell you how fine you look today.
Brianna looks irritated, but she turns around to him. She tries to stay polite through gritted teeth.
Hi, thanks. I'm in a hurry though.
Damn, females can't even take a compliment from a gentleman these days.
The man continues to follow her and starts to raise his hand to pull her on. Upon noticing this, she quickly turns into Bourbon Street. In contrast with the dark, sparsely populated side street, Bourbon is loud, full of neon lights and packed with mostly white drunk tourists. Black male street performers do acrobatics to a blasting stereo, while white onlookers take videos and give stingy tips. Brianna attempts to lose the man in the crowd, but notices him trying to find her. Standing on a balcony, drunk white former frat boys types call to her holding big-ass beers and dangling out of seasoned Mardi Gras beads.
Hey, show us your tits.
They repeat themselves while mimicking flashing and juggling boobs and dangling the beads as if to throw them at her. Brianna flips them off. One of them hurls a handful of beads at her. She dodges them by backing up into the bar she was standing in front of. Once inside, she backs into the wall and holds her face in her hands. The door to the bar opened again, forcing her to move out of the way. Two white girls in their early to mid-20s walking and laughing. The pair has on full faces of glamorous makeup, but in contrast are dressed down in leggings and hoodies. One carries a backpack, while the other a Victoria's Secret's duffel bag. The pair seat themselves at the bar. The pair seats themselves at the bar near Brianna, but carry on their conversation, not noticing her. The bartender approaches them.
Hey, Kevin, can we get like 4 shots of Rumplemans, please?
Kevin, the bartender, nods and starts to pour their drinks. The girls carry on their conversation.
So I'm going on vacation next week, so tonight better be just as good as last night was.
Which club did you work at? I was gonna come in, but my babysitter canceled at the last minute.
Oh, Bucare. There weren't too many girls, and I think everyone at least got like a half-hour room. They weren't really tipping on stage, but they were buying dances. I got some drunk tech guy in our room, and he thought he was 20s, but then he gave me some hundreds.
They both laugh. Kevin places the drinks in front of them. They thank him and take the shots back to back. Grimacing, the girls pay the drink tab and leave a large tip in all singles. They stand up to leave while one checks her phone.
Okay, I need to check in before the house fee goes up. I need to manifest at least $600 tonight.
As the white girl exits, Brianna stares after them. Exterior Brianna and Cherish's house night. An over 100-year-old traditional shotgun double is seen in the historic Creole 7-1 neighborhood. Originally beautiful and intricate in its agriculture, and now decrepit with horribly peeling white paint, worn dark green trimmings, black iron bars on the doors and windows, a small front porch, and overgrown grass. Interior Brianna and Cherish's living room continues. Cherish folds laundry on a couch while casually watching TV at a low volume. On TV, the mayor gives a speech about inviting new businesses to help revitalize the city's post-Katrina. Jasmine sleeps on the couch. Jermaine, 19, black male, short dreads, double earlobe piercings, wearing a denim jacket with a black hood and black stitch on patches over a restaurant kitchen uniform, comes through the front door loudly and walks past and Cherish and Jasmine without acknowledging them. Cherish looks along, checking on the baby. The baby only shifts a little and continues sleeping. Cherish sighs in relief, then goes into the kitchen to meet him. Cherish tries to embrace him gently. He doesn't move to reject it, but doesn't return it either. Cherish's gaze turns down. She seems a little forlorn and dispirited. Jermaine looks stonier, distant, and mainly exhausted.
I thought you would have been back a while ago.
Nah, I had to stay a little later, and that bus took forever.
That's okay. There's a plate for you.
Jermaine nods as a thanks, but doesn't smile. He takes off his jacket, revealing multiple form tattoos. He starts to heat up the food.
So the school my mom works at is going to be hiring next semester for aides for their after-school arts program. I know it's not exactly what you imagine doing as an artist, but maybe she could put in a good word for you if you're interested.
I already told you I don't like you going behind my back, putting all my business out there like that. I said I was taking care of it. We don't need help.
Actually, we do. I don't even know how I'm going to pay our half of the rent next week.
I just got home from work. I'm trying to figure shit out. Why are you bringing all this up?
I was just thinking maybe you could ask your dad to borrow some money.
You know we're not talking right now.
Since when?
Since he started getting on me about everything, no one thinks I'm trying.
I know you're trying. It's just you've been staying here for the past few months, but I feel like I'm supporting all three of us.
Man, I'm not even trying to hear all that. You tripping. I've been told you they cut everybody hours when they was closed for renovations for Bayou Classic. You stay treating me like I'm some bomb.
No, I don't. My job was closed too because they didn't want a bunch of Black customers.
Why can't Brianna pay a little extra? You know she got it. You're not asking her to get a second job when she's just sitting at a desk till 5. If I'm too much trouble, I'll let you be and I'll find my own spot.
Is that why you've been so distant lately? You want to leave?
Jermaine sighs deeply.
Sometimes it feels like you blame me for not getting to go to New York, but I didn't get to go either, you know.
I can't do this right now. I'm gonna go on a walk while you chill out.
Jermaine leaves, dishes behind, and walks out front door, slamming it behind him, waking up the baby. Interior, exterior, Brianna's room later. Cherish smokes a joint in the doorway from Brianna's room to the backyard. She watches as Dream, Cherish, and Jermaine appear dressed in formal attire on stage, smiling as they are crowned homecoming king and queen. The image fades and is replaced by another memory of them in school uniforms, opening college acceptance letter from schools in New York and hugging in celebration. Brianna arrives home and enters through her bedroom door, startling Cherish out of her daydream. Brianna puts her bag down, takes off her scarf, and pulls her hairpins out of her natural hair. She pulls off her black hoodie that reads, "You can't have capitalism without racism." While changing, we get a closer look at her. It has original hardwood floors and beautiful large crown molding, but looks very old and worn down, like the exterior of the house. Her bedding is black, with the Hoard's emblem on the pillow and comforter. On her nightstand is a Huey Freeman figurine. Above it, gold letters spell out Brianna.
Her walls are teal and decorated with printouts of poems and motivational quotes, pictures, a keffiyeh,
ticket stubs, drawings, a Death Note, anime wall scroll, and posters of Marilyn Manson. She wants revenge, Eazy-E, Huey P. Newton, and The Outsiders. Multicolored string lights and the eyes of a skull lamp on a nightstand are the only light source in her room. Brianna sits with Cherish in the doorway as she stargazes.
Since when you have weed?
I found it in Jermaine's pants.
He dealing now?
Shit, I wish. Maybe you wouldn't be so broke all the time. Everything sucks.
Tell me about it.
It's mostly dark except for the ember of the joint glowing brighter each time the sisters take a hit. A few faint thuds can be heard in the distance. A red-eyed Brianna jumps.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
It was like something falling. Or footsteps.
Cherish checks on Jasmine through the doorway between their bedrooms.
You had half a joint. Stop acting so damn scary.
Did you really not hear that?
None of us ever do. You're just always crying about seeing and hearing stuff that isn't there. That's why you had a nightlight till you were 16.
Stop. Shut up.
A few slightly louder thuds can be heard. Brianna and Cherish both hear it and look at each other in fear.
It sounds like footsteps.
Jermaine's still out.
More thuds. The girls begin walking slowly and carefully through the rooms of the dark shotgun towards the front.
Told you there's a bad vibe in the house. We will move it in. Something doesn't want us here.
It's probably not a ghost, Brianna.
Well, then what is it, Cherish? You even said you feel weird sometimes when you're in here by yourself.
Cherish shakes her head, but looks like Brianna could be right. A scraping noise can be heard.
That sounded like it was outside.
Brianna snaps back to reality.
Nobody better be breaking into my car again. This neighborhood needs to chill out. I fucking swear.
She shakes her head angrily and races to peer through the blinds of the front window.
Oh, hell no.
Brianna runs out the front door. On the street, a tow truck is pulling Brianna's car from in front of the house. Brianna runs up to the tow truck driver. Exterior, Brianna's house, continuous. A dark street is lined with century-old, most derelict, bright, multicolored purple, sky blue, forest green, pink, orange, etc. Red shotgun homes with black iron bars securing the doors and windows. Neighbors peer from front porches, stoops, behind iron bars, and sidewalks. Brianna stands with her head in her hands.
Are you sure there's nothing you can do?
No, sweetie. There's cameras on the truck, and the police have already been notified.
While Brianna continues to cover her face in despair, the tow truck driver lay forward his big belly, slicked back hair under a hat. Mediterranean look, stands behind Cherish, watching as she bends over, rushing the stuffed items from the car into the trash bag. Jasmine sits in the car seat on the sidewalk next to her. Cherish noticed how her Sailor Moon pajama shorts are riding up and her oversized high school honor society t-shirt is drooping down, exposing her body to the tow truck driver who is leering at her.
Can you please give me some space or just wait in the truck?
Excuse me? This is my job and my truck. You don't tell me what to do. Y'all put yourselves in this situation when y'all didn't pay your bills. Worried about what I'm doing.
Exterior, Brianna's house later. The street is empty again. Brianna cries while sitting in the pothole where her car was previously parked. Her head hangs low. Cherish appears standing over Brianna, Jasmine on her hip.
Why wouldn't you tell someone they was about to tell you?
I only thought I was 2 payments behind, not 3.
They didn't call or email to warn you?
I don't know. I've been avoiding them because I don't have no money.
I can't believe you're older. You are so stupid sometimes.
Cherish goes back into the house. Brianna opens an email on the phone from her lender stating her car is being repossessed. And to get it back, she must pay $1,500 within the next 21 days before it is auctioned. Brianna continues to cry in the pothole. Interior, Dollar General day. Brianna is dressed in business attire, holding a stack of printed resumes.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. You need help with something?
Actually, I just saw online that you were hiring, and I wanted to see if I could speak with the manager about the position.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, hi. I'm Brianna. I saw that you had a part-time cashier position available, and I was hoping to apply in person.
I see you got your degree. No cashier experience, though.
Yes, I do. I mean, I have my degree. No, I don't have a cashier experience, but I have restaurant and client service experience, so I already have a lot of people and customer service skills. Plus, I'm a fast learner.
You know what? We're not really looking for temporary workers. We need someone who's going to stick around here for a while.
Oh, well.
You'll be fine, though. You're college educated and all. I'm sure there's something much better suited for you out there.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Exterior Target Premium Parking Garage Day. Montage of Brianna applying to work at Target in the car garage. She is rejected by both places and leaves locations defeated. With her head down and resume still in hand. Interior Walmart Day. Brianna looks through racks of panties and bras. She holds up a pair of thong Spanx. She opens the box to hold them to her body, checking her size.
Excuse me, ma'am?
Yes?
Ma'am, you are not allowed to try underwear on in the store. If you open those, you'll need to purchase them now.
A few customers nearby look disapprovingly, curiously, and some laugh. Brianna gets very embarrassed.
Would you like me to show you where the register is?
No, it's okay. I can find it. Thanks. Sorry.
Brianna stands in front of her full-length mirror, pulling her fat and trying to fold it into the spank stone. She examines herself from the back and then the side. On her bed, her laptop plays a YouTube video of a stripper explaining what she wears and her typical work day. Next to it are notes about stripping with highlighted portions, as well as different bras, scissors, and the needle and thread. She fumbles around with bikini tops and bras, trying to find a decent enough combination. She decides on a lace bra and stands in front of the mirror and turns back and forth, looking at herself skeptically. She lays down on her back and opens her legs wide, extending them towards the ceiling as she tries to lift her pelvis by supporting her lower back with her hands. She tries to push her back off the ground, failing several times. She finally gets balance and starts shaking her legs, sending ripples from her legs to her ass cheeks. She peeks in the mirror to see if it looks professional.
Interior streetcar stop French Quarter night. Brianna sits in a streetcar, full face of makeup with heavy eyeliner and wearing combat boots, black ripped skinny pants, a low cut top, and a leather jacket that is zipped open. As the streetcar comes to a stop, an older black woman walks past her and glances at her cleavage, frowning and releasing a heavy sigh of disapproval. Brianna zips up her jacket, self-consciously, giving the woman a polite smile. Brianna checks her makeup one last time in her phone camera.
You can do this. Get together.
She touches up the corner of her eyeliner and takes a deep breath.
Don't be a baby. You got this.
She checks the name of the club written on her stripper notes and steps off to the streetcar into the bustling French Quarter. Exterior Bourbon Street night. Brianna stands up against the side of a building while peeking around the corner. She nervously zips down the jacket and pushes up her boobs. Somewhat satisfied, she heads for the club. Small groups of tourists walk through the street. LaShawn, late 20s, slim black male, large, sly smile, dressed in a long sleeve purple button down and black dress pants, stands in front of a neon sign that reads Vous Carry Salon, with the glowing outline of a naked woman next to it.
I see y'all looking. How about you buy your old lady a lap dance? Quit being cheap.
An elderly white couple looks startled and walks away quickly.
Come on, fellas. How about changing your life? Come see some titties.
Montana Marissa, 29, white woman, thick pear shape, short dark brown hair, full sleeves on each arm, tattoos on the neck, face, knuckles, and thighs. Wearing a black crop misfit shirt, lacy black boys shorts, and 7-inch black vinyl ankle boots. Can be seen smoking a cigarette in the club's doorway. Further along the street are neon strip signs and more black barkers, as they are called. Rashawn looks in Brianna's direction. Brianna jumps back to hide. After some more peekaboo and heavy breathing, she starts to walk towards the club. Brianna approaches Rashawn, who is standing in the street now.
Hi.
Hey, can I help you?
Are y'all hiring dancers?
You a dancer?
No, I never danced before, but I wanted to apply or audition or whatever it is.
Rashawn's grin now shows nearly all his teeth. He puts his arm around Brianna and starts to walk towards the club entrance.
Oh, sookie now. Come on in. Let's see what you got.
Interior Vous Carry Salon, night. We see a panoramic view of the club, which resembles an old Creole New Orleans parlor that hasn't been remodeled in a decade. The main floor is sparsely populated with white male business convention types and some white frat type tourists wearing out of season Mardi Gras beads with rubber boob charms hanging from them. Rashawn walks Brianna to the club's main floor. He motions for someone to come over. Brianna takes in the scenery. Nearly all white women in stripper wear and lingerie. Most are somewhat fit, some are bigger. Dance on the stage and mingle with customers. Some of the dancers Some of the dancers nearer to her look at her strangely. She notices a decent amount of ones laying on the stage. She is overwhelmed, looking around suddenly. Someone taps on her shoulder.
Hey,
Hi, I was wondering if I could audition.
Omar scans the room and rushes her into an office off to the side.
all right, step over here with me for a minute.
Once they are both in the office, he closes the door.
All right, sweetheart, you over 21?
Yes.
Where'd you dance before?
Actually, I've never danced. I was hoping to start.
All right. So you think you could get on stage and dance with your clothes off?
Brianna blushes slightly.
Yeah, I think I can.
All right. Well, look, I won't make you get up on stage to audition. You don't know what you're doing yet. Everyone just learns on the job. I just got to see your body before I can hire you. So can you get undressed? Not all the way, just down to your underwear.
Brianna looks a little shocked but gets undressed. She realizes while taking her pants off that she wore full bottom Gryffindor Quidditch team underwear, I think. Omar raises an eyebrow. Brianna looks away. He motions for her to spin around.
Oh, no tattoos. That's good. Some girls come in here and they get undressed and they're all marked up. All men don't like that shit.
Brianna nods along, though confused and nervous still.
You can put your clothes back on, sweetheart. I can't hire you for nighttime because you're a little thick, but come back tomorrow at noon and I'll give you a day contract.
Once dressed, Brianna just stands there looking bewildered, her hair now out of place from pulling her clothes off and on.
What's that look for, Gryffindor? You got hired. Just bring your ID and your social, and you're gonna need shoes, your outfit, a dance thong, and a lock.
Is that it?
Interior, Vu carries a long day. Camera looks down at a nervous Brianna, taking deep breaths at the bottom of the staircase in a very dark alley lit only by a black light. The light distorts her skin in a bluish purple. Eyes wide, she clutches her backpack tightly. As she starts to take a deep breath, the light flickers, leaving the hallway pitch black momentarily. When the light returns, Brianna exhales and appears mildly calm and confident. She takes a couple steps up. Interior, Vu carries a long dressing room, continuous. The dressing room consists of long countertops, random stools, and chairs, tall mirrors with lights above them, and heavily graffiti locker, mismatched and broken heels lay under the counters, which hold random beauty products and tools. Sativa, Isabel, early 20s white woman, stands by a mirror, pulling messy, long blonde tracks out of a plastic grocery bag and clipping them into not very well. She is barefoot and bottomless, wearing a red lacy bra. 7 of her fingers have long, bedazzled, bright yellow acrylic nails.
She's a crackhead bitch. Look, she sucks as a waitress. She's too busy eating to suck the manager's dick tattletale to even run the cards.
Aaliyah Angela, 31 black woman, sits by the counter on the opposite wall. She has 20-inch body wave weave, matte navy blue acrylic, and is wearing a blue lingerie set with sparkly 8-inch heels. She have listens to Sativa as she combs her hair, baby hairs in the mirror.
You're lucky they only put you on day shift for a week. They could have just suspended you.
Sativa and Aaliyah look at Brianna as she enters the dressing room for saying nothing. Sativa grumbles as she rummages through around in her duffel bag. Brianna tries to give a polite smile as she picks a spot over Aaliyah. Aaliyah, done styling her hair, puts her things into a locker and exits. Brianna's shoulders slump a little. Sativa, now wearing a black wide back and 8-inch clear heels, put her duffel bag into a locker. With her head in the locker, she chugs half a pint of bottle of vodka. She wipes her mouth, slams the locker closed, and exits. The child widens, making Brianna look small and lonely. Interior, Vu carries a long main floor later.
I let all the other girls go first so you could watch them, but I gotta put you up now. So do me a favor, go tell the DJ what you want to dance to.
My advice is just touch yourself a lot. A lot. Ricky, get it in.
Brianna nods unsurely. She is wearing black thong Spanx, a black lacy bra, 6-inch heels, black heels, gold earrings, and gold bangles. Interior booth carries along stage. Moments later, Rasta Love by Protege starts to play. Brianna takes shaky steps up to the stage, the skin glowing red from the lights. She uses the pole to balance in her heels and starts to do slow, simple dance moves. To her surprise, it's not scary as she expected. She drops down to the floor near a few customers, white males aged 21, who throws dollars on her. Brianna takes off her top in front of the boys, their eyes wide, and they stare open mouth at her boobs. They continue to tip. Brianna smiles, not feeling more confident on stage. The interior view carries along main floor later. Brianna, excited and confident, finished counting out 67 ones. She puts them in her money bag and confidently approaches an early 20s male customer near the bar. Montage of a close-up of Brianna talking to various customers.
Hi, I'm Bria on Zion. Would you like a dance?
No. Let me know when the A-team get here.
Sweetie, you're not my type. I like a little cushion for the pushing, not your face. You'd only be good for a few bucks if we put a paper bag over your head.
The despair Brianna sits alone at the corner of the bar. In the opposite corner of the room, in near total darkness, illuminated by only a black light. Alan Ford, this black male businessman, leans in the back of his chair with his legs stretched out. He stares a brown liquor in one hand and motions for Brianna to come over with the other.
What are you sitting over there looking all sad for, pretty girl?
Brianna shrugs awkwardly.
You look new to the game.
Today's my first day, actually.
Alan slides his chair closer to Brianna and starts to roughly massage her shoulders.
Let me loosen you up. You too stiff.
Brianna looks uncomfortable and her body freezes. Alan's hand wanders from her shoulder down her arm until he is squeezing her in the thigh.
See, that's why nobody wants to dance from you. You're too shy and boring.
Sativa drunk kicks Brianna's chair away from Alan.
Get away from my customer.
Brianna runs off. Interior strip club manager's office later.
I'll waive your house fee since it's your first shift. Minimum tip out is 10 to the DJ, 5 to the door guy, and 5 to security.
Brianna, still in her stripper outfit, nods.
Thank you.
Interior Vu Carey Salon dressing room later. Brianna's in her street clothes and Inuyasha socks is searching around the dressing room. Annabelle Lee Vivian, 26 black woman, is wearing black sweatpants, a black crop hoodie, and a green zebra bra and a green zebra strip bonnet. She is holding a rolling duffel bag and a box of pizza.
What are you looking for?
I can't find my boots. I had them right under the counter.
You get into it with somebody today?
I don't know. Maybe?
Check on top of the lockers and in the trash can.
Brianna checks both. She frowns and she pulls her combat boots out of the trash can.
What club were you at before?
Today was my first day dancing ever.
They're not taking it easy on you, you poor thing.
Thanks for helping. None of the other girls talked to me.
We usually don't. We don't know if you'll ever come back, so it's not worth the effort yet.
Brianna looks down pensively.
So, are you coming back tomorrow?
Fade to black. In.
Yay.
Whew.
Hi, so that was the digital table read for the pilot episode of Blacklight, which is a series created by myself and Michelle Zai. We produced that table read and released it on Twitter in the summer of 2020 during COVID. Blacklight follows Brianna, who is a soft-spoken Black goth and socialist organizer who leaves her low-paying nonprofit job to become a sex worker, much to the dismay of her family and activist community. Blacklight explores the fantasies and nightmares of Brianna, her family, her comrades, and fellow sex workers as they struggle to survive and thrive during New Orleans' post-Katrina revitalization efforts. So I, I think you'll be able to see everyone in a second. But I'm going to be joined by Reverend Houston R. Cypress, who's the co-founder of the Love the Everglades movement, Valencia Gunder, who is the founder of the Smile Trust, and Klie Kliebert, who is the co-founder of Imagine Waterworks. I want to thank everyone who is tuning into this. We are going to be discussing climate justice work that Indigenous and Black organizers are doing across the Gulf Coast. And I also want to give a big thanks to the organizers that I have speaking today who are taking time from the urgent work that they're doing involving Hurricane Ida and other issues happening right now in the South. We are not just talking about things that are theoretical, we're talking about real things that are happening in real time. But I'll have everyone introduce themselves. So if you could just say your name, your pronouns, where you're located or where your work takes place, and tell us a little bit about your organization, the work they're doing, and if there was a defining moment to start these organizations, since you all did start them. I don't know what order you want to go in, but just unmute yourself and go. Houston, do you want to start?
Yes, thank you. Hi, good afternoon, friends and family. My name is Houston Cypress, and I'm from the Otter Clan, which is one of the families that make up the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida. And the organization that me and my friends started down here in South Florida is called Love the Everglades Movement. And what we're about is inspiring action. And a lot of the ways that we do that is through the arts, through coalition building, and we want to do this to support Indigenous solidarity in our region. And I think that one of the defining moments that really kind of got us going in terms of our work was this field trip that I invited my art school buddy from the Art Institute out to the Everglades. And he was really moved when he heard the stories that our elders were sharing about how life used to be in the Everglades, the kind of struggles that they endured growing up, and the changes that they've seen on the ground. And so we kind of dared each other. What can we do to get people to care about these places? And how can we give respect to the water? So that's what started our work about 9 years ago. And we've been building coalitions ever since then. And so I'm really happy to share a little bit more about my work. And I'm also happy to get to know the work of the others in our panel and see what we can do to support each other's work. But it is because it is vital to show up for one another. Thank you.
Valencia, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Hey, Houston. This is Valencia Gunder. Most folks just call me V. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the co-founder and co-director of the Smile Trust. I am located here in Miami, Florida. Sorry, I don't look better. I'm literally sitting in a warehouse where we're shipping stuff to Haiti and to Louisiana for Hurricane Ida. And our organization is about 7 years old, but I've been doing advocacy work, climate justice work, and disaster relief work for the last 11 years. I was activated into this space when the earthquake hit Haiti in 2010. And I do work, well, food justice work, food insecurity work, and land justice work through the Smile Trust in different ways, from feeding the unsheltered to making sure families have groceries, mutual aid stipends, and disaster relief. We have the Community Emergency Operations Center, which is our disaster relief arm. It's a grassroots disaster relief ecosystem where we work with organizations on the ground and we send bulk supplies so that folks can respond to themselves. We believe it is a model of self-determination. We don't feel like we're anybody's savior, but community can save and respond to themselves. We service the U.S. South, or the southern point of Turtle Island, and the entire global South. Well, we're growing, but we do service the Caribbean island at this point, at this moment, Haiti, the Bahamas, and other islands, Dominica, St. Kitts, St. George, and yeah, that's the work we do. And I'm also the national organizing lead for the Red, Black, and Green New Deal at the Movement for Black Lives. Super happy to be here. And I started my organization because I was homeless back in 2010, right after I did my first disaster relief, and then I was incarcerated. And I learned that services were very conditional. Services were given to people who had access to it, and also services were given very rigidly. So we decided to restore people's dignity and their integrity as we serve. So we're called the Smile Trust because our services only cost one smile. That's all we ask from folks. And we make very safe and accessible opportunities to do disaster relief, mutual aid, and service work to our communities. And we're super excited to grow and to support as many people as possible.
All right, I'm up. First off, hey V, I think we talked on the phone a while back about a bail fund for climate, so that's cool to see your face. So my name is Klie Kliebert. I use they, them pronouns. I'm located in New Orleans. I'm a multi-generational native New Orleanian, so sort of came into this work by existing. This work sort of chooses you if you're from here. I'm a co-founder at Imagine Waterworks. We've been around for almost a decade now. I guess next year will be 10 years. We work sort of at the intersections of water management or mismanagement, climate justice, and then disaster preparedness and response, and we sort of layer mutual aid across all of those focus areas. We are currently, in the thick of Hurricane Ida stuff. We have a physical center open right now, actually an elementary school that opened its doors to us to respond to Hurricane Ida, where we are doing everything from bringing supplies in and getting them out very quickly, and getting those supplies to individuals and then also to folks further down in the bayous and upriver. At our center, we have healers doing acupuncture and Reiki and making sort of like essential oils to try to take care of people in a more holistic way. We have music. Next week, you're going to have the Yakamane lady, which we're very excited about, just serving some hot meals for folks. So we're just trying to take care of people both in the city and also in the more coastal regions and the river parishes. When we are not, activated for sort of disaster relief work, we do more, art and science and watery work. I think just trying to understand and keep the conversations flowing about, how the systems are not working for us right now. When our organization first started, we, of course, learned a lot about the nonprofit complex and about traditional water management and about how disasters are exploited and the people are not cared for by government and by these enormous organizations. And so we've really shifted to doing a lot of work around like, okay, well, how do we change that on the front end? And how do we build a stronger community infrastructure to take care of ourselves when we know that these other groups are not going to do it in a way that gets us what we need, and that is shame-free, and that is safe for Black and Brown and Indigenous folks, that is safe for queer and trans folks. So we're kind of doing a whole lot right there. And I also, like V, I'm like looking a little rough right now. We've been going pretty much 24/7 in addition to, like I personally was in the storm. So it's been a time.
Thank you so much. And I really want to encourage everyone watching to donate. The links to donate to each organization is in the Eventbrite. I believe they should also be in the YouTube chat, or they're going to be up there in a second. Black Femme Supremacy Film Festival is going to be matching donations up to $100 per organization. So please donate. And just for context, Klie, do you want to give a little bit of background about Hurricane Ida in case people, the news cycle moves very quickly, but in case people don't know what's going on with that or why you're, still experiencing something that we think happened two weeks ago.
Yeah, so Hurricane Ida is sort of, it's a notable one in that it's impacted so much of Southern Louisiana and beyond. At our organization, we focus on Southern Louisiana. And it's everyone from folks in the city, like right now, not everyone has power still. You still can't get gas, supplies are low, like essential things that people need, businesses aren't open. And so the world is just not working for us right now in the city. And then outside of the city, we have especially folks down in Homa and La Place and Bayou Blue. They have whole structures down, and it's it doesn't get as much media coverage. These are places where it's tribal land, and they're sort of left to their own down there. So that is part of what we're doing is like using our funds to send to our relatives, like down in Homa, to set up some kind of like mutual aid medic tents and food tents and to take care of their food garden. And so it's taking every kind of strategy we have right now to actually just keep the very basic needs of people met. I would say, the North Shore, which is about an hour north of New Orleans, is actually very impacted too. That's where I rode out the storm. That was not the best idea. It was like, I'm gonna stay close to the city. And they also have like massive infrastructure down. In New Orleans, we had a whole energy tower fall into the river, like our main energy tower. At my parents' house, for example, when the trees are uprooted, it rips out water lines, so they also don't have water. And so I think we're sort of expecting to see Katrina, and I'm glad that we did not see Katrina, but when that didn't happen in the exact way like the media kind of wanted it to, I feel like then the coverage stopped. And now it's just sort of like, oh, well, these folks will figure it out. But the situation is that, it's hard to get shipments in. There's a diesel shortage as well. Governments are not supplying things. And in fact, are reaching out to groups like mine, asking us to open more distribution centers, which we are supplying with friends who are just driving out of state, filling their cars and coming back in over and over. It's just carloads over and over all day. So currently the situation is just genuinely the people all trying to take care of each other in like a massive people movement. I have no idea what government is doing right now, to be honest.
Thank you. Yeah, I think especially with the sensationalizing of events on the news, it's like, okay, so there aren't a bunch of people stuck in the Superdome or stuck on a bridge. So it's boring to see a million people in one region of the state being stuck without power, right? That doesn't make exciting photos and stuff like that for people to build their careers on. But this is probably the stuff that we're going to be seeing, because I think that Ida was tied with Hurricane Laura last year for being the strongest storm to hit, if I am not mistaken. So for those to happen back to back, I mean, this is kind of the future that we're living in. So, I mean, I would like everyone to talk a little bit about what we feel it is makes communities vulnerable. I mean, I had my own experience in Katrina of like what makes certain demographics or certain people very vulnerable or overlooked during these disasters, but I'm sure that you come across this in your organizing work. So what is it that makes people vulnerable, or what makes some communities more vulnerable than others? Where is the gap?
I can jump in here. Well, I'm happy for those in affected areas that you all are trying your hardest. I I think back to a statement I always say that climate change is a threat multiplier. So if you're already dealing with stressors, right? Lack of access to food, lack of access to education, lack of access to resources, safe housing, safety and right relationship with your government, and then a shock hits, which is a storm, a hurricane, a tornado, a snowstorm. Anything hits you, then that makes all of your threats higher, right? If you couldn't eat before the storm, you're definitely not going to be able to eat after the storm hits. If you didn't have money to pay your bills before the storm, you're not going to have it afterwards, right? So when we look at under-resourced communities, and that's the language I use, right? Not just underserved, but under-resourced communities. That could be Black and Brown communities, indigenous communities, poor communities, queer and trans communities. These are the folks who are impacted the most because these are the most oppressed people. So we're in an oppressed country that create second-class citizens and treat them like they're in a developing country. That's what they're dealing with. And it's not that people don't want to be resilient. Resiliency costs money. It's starting to become a tagline. People doing things for show, right? And that's because when the news turn off, people turn off, and we have to learn to do better than that, right? And then there's so many disasters happening at the same time, right? The Gulf South was hit with Hurricane Ida. Parts of North Carolina was hit with tornadoes the week before that. It's flooding in the Northeast. Haiti hit with a 7.2 earthquake, and this stuff is continuously happening, and we're still not at the end of hurricane season, right? And now, even in the South, we have to prepare for snowstorms and blizzards. It's a real thing. And then in the West, we had the forest fires this year. So back to back to back, it's been a lot of disaster, and that can get exhausting. And how are we to even get resilient when people can't even feed themselves? I feel really horrible for the folks in the southern point of Louisiana, in Mississippi, right? The fact that people have already turned the channel and people still don't have food and water and medical supplies. I really wish folks understood the level and the depths we have to go through to make sure people are okay. And I'm here in South Florida with Houston. And Houston, I hope I hope y'all over there doing all the spiritual work in the waters, fam, because we're gonna be in a world of mess in South Florida if we was to get a storm. And these things are happening more and more and more. The storms are getting worse. Hurricane Ida is definitely an example of that. And then we look at Hurricane Irma, right, back in 2017, and Hurricane Matthew in 2018, and Hurricane Dorian, although did not hit the United States, it hit the Bahamas, and it sat on the Bahamas for 2 days. We never seen storms move like this before. It's a different type of beast we're dealing with. So that means that our resiliency and our preparation and our response has to be completely different. And honestly, y'all, people are going to have to show up for people. The government's not coming. You would think that Louisiana said in another country how slow United States move after these disasters is a real thing. It's a real thing. And I hope folks continue to stay resilient. Y'all do have friends outside of the impacted area that's working really hard. I've been in this warehouse for 30 days since that earthquake hit, and I will continue to serve as much as I can here and things like that. So hit me up, fam, if y'all need some direct stuff. But real talk, like, this is ridiculous. And these are human beings that pay taxes in the country that don't care about them. And none of that is okay. And we shouldn't be silent. So one thing for sure, as soon as I get a break, and as soon as people have enough food and water, we need to be banging the state, because this is not acceptable. And our tax dollars go into these pots of money to make sure that we're not in these situations. Where are all the resources? Where is it coming from? When the government calls a state of emergency, that moves money from our federal government. The people at home are not going to see that money. The under-resourced populations in New Orleans not going to see that money. So where is it going? Who's responsible for it? And it hurts me so much because I get the videos. I see the pictures of people who don't have anything. Imagine being trapped inside of a place that's flooded next to an oil rig. Imagine what your skin looks like after that. Contaminated water. Imagine that. Imagine that. And I think people need to really understand that this is a long-term thing. It took Louisiana and Mississippi years to recover from Katrina. And they still trying to recover from it, and they just got hit with Hurricane Ida, y'all. It's a real thing. Some people were displaced forever. And then the developers had the nerve to come in and do a land grab afterwards. The disaster happens, it stays in place even when the lights come back on, y'all. It's a real thing. We should definitely pay attention to it. And we know when they're finished. We know when they're finished.
Just want to plug again, if you want to see the donation links, they are in the YouTube description, or you can go to blacklight.eventbrite.com and see the links on there and read bios, stuff like that. But yeah, that's very true. And just speaking of offshore workers, I saw an article, I think in NOLA.com, saying that there were, I think, 100 offshore workers who were not evacuated prior to the storm, had to ride out the storm out there. And, you know, like they thought that they were just going to all drown, like because they're in the middle of a hurricane. But the company Exxon didn't want to move them because they just thought, well, it's too expensive to bring them out and then bring them back to work. Like that's just too much effort. And I think that's pretty indicative of what the government response has been. I mean, people haven't gotten disaster food stamps yet. It's been 2 weeks since everyone's food spoiled in the fridges and freezers, and they haven't picked up the trash either, so it smells really bad. And FEMA has not really approved anybody for that little $500 that they're giving per household yet. They're just kind of sitting on it and trying to make people jump through hoops and call and wait, you know, for 2 hours to speak to a human being. So the government response has been pretty pathetic and very much that you would expect from a corporation, right? Not a government that serves the interests of their people. Okay, but Houston, if you want to talk a little bit as well, I just wanted to plug that information.
Thank you. Thinking about this idea of vulnerability, I'm just reminded of how my ancestors in the Miccosukee tribe and the Seminole tribe had been living off the land for countless generations. And with the colonization and with the development of the urban matrix, we're seeing a lot of environmental degradation these days. But that's still the ideal that we're trying to build back to with supporting these environmental restoration projects. Because when you alter the flow of water and then you have these big storms that hit, you have severe and quick impacts such as what we're seeing these days. And so I think that whatever we can do to advance the work of reconciliation, and also the phrase that V was talking about earlier, self-determination, and about how we need to take control of our own communities. And in that way, I think that's where the reconciliation part comes in too, because as we can do what we can to heal from the historical traumas that we've all gone through, I think that we're better situated to show up for each other in that way. And so I think that one of the things that my community has been relying on is the traditional ecological knowledge that we're still holding on to, that connection to the land, that connection to the plant medicines. And so I think on that note, I do want to highlight the good work of this organization that I respect in New Orleans. This is the Bolbancha Collective, and they're an organization that works with plant medicines and tinctures, and is trying to rebuild that knowledge that indigenous people had and still have. So I just wanted to shout out and say hello to the Bolbancha Collective over there. But I think this is just some of the work that we need to do, and I think that I'm also looking for ways to find. I guess we're calling it like queer ecological knowledge these days too, because as a two-spirit person myself, I think that the movement for gender diversity that indigenous people are rebuilding and bringing back into the forefront is just as vital. So I think that these are some of the ways that that we can continue to hold on to each other and stand with each other. But those are just some of the vulnerabilities that I'm concerned with, because my ancestors and my community tried for so long to be like isolated from the cities and isolated from the development, and that was what had kept us holding on to this knowledge for so long. But sometimes that isolation can also have some negative consequences, especially when we're dealing with like power outages and things. And I'm somebody that is dealing with some health issues these days related to diabetes and things like that. So I need access to medications that need to be refrigerated, or access to electricity. So these are just some of the further vulnerabilities that we are anticipating. But I think that I'm definitely am hopeful, because I've seen how we've been able to show up for each other before, whether it's the movement for Black Lives, whether it's the manifestation at places like Standing Rock. Like, we have shown up for each other in the past. And even if we look further back, whether it's maroon communities that are being embraced by indigenous communities, we have traditions of embracing each other and making family with each other. And so I think that these are foundations that we can continue to build upon and find ways to share the joys of our gardens with one another.
Yeah, can I like sort of respond to that a little bit? Yeah, definitely, Houston, that's on point. I would say like the majority of what we end up doing is just reminding folks that connection is what will get us through this. Whether it's connection to each other, connection to the land and to ourselves and our own needs and the needs of others. And I think, we have gotten pushback in the past from trying to do, water, climate, disasters. And we hold pretty steady to the fact that it's all the same thing. While these sound like very different buckets, like, we're going to keep having disasters as long as we're controlling water. You can't control water. Water does what she wants. And so until we start to connect also with the goodness of water, for example, we're going to keep flooding in a disaster. And so there is no disconnecting all of these concepts, and there shouldn't be a disconnecting of people either. The only way forward is to return to our traditional ways of being connected, and in as many ways as we can, and for the long term. This isn't like as much as donations are important, swooping in and putting money to something and leaving also isn't going to actually save us. I think what will save us in the long term is being very intentional about, okay, and then what? And then how are we going to genuinely build up these communities of care? And it doesn't have to be like, I alone am not going to connect to the entire world, but I can connect deeply and in the long term to 5 people who will connect to 5 people and to 5 people. And those sort of networks, that's going to have to be how we move forward to get a little more safe here.
Thank you. Touching again on vulnerabilities, I think something that we've really seen throughout COVID and also now with this disaster is the issue of housing. So we know the eviction moratorium just ended, so a lot of people are about to be kicked out of their homes if they haven't already. And then we're also, well, at least here in Louisiana, what I'm definitely seeing is this is like an opportunity for apartment complexes or landlords to try to push renters that they don't want out by saying, oh, well, there's some damage, you can't live here anymore, stuff like that. And so I really think we're going to see a large population of unhoused people or people who are very housing insecure, because once you have an eviction, you really can't qualify for anything. Valencia, I know that you deal with that, but Houston, Klie, I'm sure you do as well. We know that disasters can become catalysts for gentrification. That's definitely what we saw after Katrina. That's what I experienced. I'm touching on that in Blacklight. But do you want to talk a little bit about that? I feel like that will be a prolonged issue we're going to see.
Yeah. So we're already seeing it. The unsheltered numbers are going up. I've been servicing unsheltered populations in South Florida for the last 7 years. And now I have to serve almost triple the population. We're seeing it. My organization has processed 198 families through evictions. When I say processed, they've been evicted and we give them moving fees to get into new spaces. One, they shouldn't have been living in some of these spaces because people are slumlords and people were living in disasters already. And then they're being evicted, and it's ridiculous. I feel like the government dropped the ball, like always, to end a eviction moratorium still during the middle of a pandemic because we're not out of it. People are still being exposed, and to end the eviction moratorium and not give people a grace period for them to get back on their feet was a lack of judgment. And we should definitely start calling people to the carpet on their leadership. That's all the way from the president's office to your governor's office to your mayor's office. That's a real thing. Um, we're starting to see that. People, you're correct. If once you have an eviction, it's really hard for folks to be able to find new housing. I think we need to, one, get some more renter rights on the books. Renter bills of rights. Shout out to the Miami Worker Center here in Miami. They're working on that hard body because we have all these high rises, we have all these apartments, but people can't move into them. So what we building them for? And then also just thinking about like how families are being treated during the process of an eviction. Like the sheriff show up to your house, you get put out. I get phone calls all the time. Hey, the sheriff is at my door and I need a place to go. And I'm like, I can put you into a hotel for a few nights. I'm honored that my community calls me, but I'm also like, I am not the Red Cross and I'm not FEMA, and my budget doesn't reflect that. Because if my budget did, we wouldn't have a homeless problem. For real. But it's a real thing. Like we need to definitely reimagine what housing looks like: safe and affordable housing, sustainable housing, right? One, I'm talking to folks in Haiti right now, and they're like, "Yeah, we need to rebuild houses," and I'm like, "Y'all have two fault lines. What does that look like to rebuild? What does it look like for folks to rebuild in Southern Louisiana when we know the storms are going to continue to come, right?" So we need to start thinking more innovatively. And lastly, to make climate solutions affordable to everybody, and especially as it relates to housing. That is something every human being needs, right? It could be different types of things, but humans need a place to live. They need water to drink. I have not met a human being yet that can walk this earth and not drink water. If y'all find the person, let me know. But I haven't found that person. They need food and water, and everybody should have safe housing, and that should be the minimal that folks can have. And we're starting to see an increase of unsheltered, and it's really sad to see from senior citizens, y'all. It's a real thing. The senior citizens are being put out. This one sister, one elder actually, she was 96 and she called. She said, I need a place to go, but I can't leave because my leg's swollen because my landlord would not fix the rat infestation in my house. Her legs were bitten up by rats. And I was able to get her into a place, but that's ridiculous, right? And then when they call the county, guess who number the county get them? Mine. And we have an $8 billion budget in Miami-Dade County. That is ridiculous, right? I just want folks to know, real talk, we have to start having a different conversation about housing. The way that we are doing it does not work. The way that we do real estate is in a colonized mindset and it's led by capitalism. And capitalism and colonization don't help nobody. I want you to be very clear. Okay? It harms indigenous people the most because this is their land and they need their land back, right? But it also harms and hinder all of us, literally every single type sector of human beings. This is harming us, and it has always had. When we knew how to be in right relationship with the land, how to share our resources, and be in right relationship with each other, we had plentiful. But we move in a mindset of scarcity, and this is what's going to continue to harm us over and over again, guys. We got to figure it out because people don't have places to go and they don't have places to live. And I don't know about nobody else on this panel, but I've been homeless before and I slept on the streets before. And I know what it feels like not being able to take a shower for a week. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to come out of incarceration and have to start your life over from scratch. Is a real thing. And we have to do better, y'all. And I know people like, well, we doing our best. Yes, you are. But when you go to vote, when you go and select your leadership, you all have to be way more mindful of who you choosing, because these people have been showing their hands, y'all, and we continuously be here over and over again. They could pass abortion bans, but they can't pass a Green New Deal. They could end the eviction moratorium, but they don't want to have a conversation about divesting from law enforcement that's killing people. I don't know what else to do, but we got to just start selecting our leaders better and better. Or we could just fight to decolonize the whole thing, and we can start over from scratch. And democracy does work. This is my last point, and I'm going to step back. Democracy works. Democracy in the framework that America is using, it doesn't work. But democracy is a practice of indigenous people, and it has worked for thousands of years, and it can work, right? So if we take our democracy back and get indigenous people they land back, and we turn it back into Turtle Island, then democracy will work in our favor. Check.
Thank you so much for that. That was so good. And just touching on this scarcity mindset that you talk about, that is very much man-made. I also have experienced homelessness, and when I experienced it, I was in California and also in Arizona. And in Arizona, where there doesn't seem to be as big of a visible homeless population, it's a lot easier to move around as an unhoused person. Whereas in California, you have to hide a lot more. People are a lot more antagonistic because the reaction to having these large homeless populations is everyone being very angry and very paranoid about homeless people coming into their library to like cool off during the day and stuff like that, right? Or trying to use the bathroom somewhere. And I really feel like that is how America is responding to so many problems. Like they're like, can we just not be over the COVID pandemic? Can y'all just not live without lights in South Louisiana? Yeah, it's like a mind sickness of the United States and how we're dealing with these disasters. And I think it leads to these weird internally displaced populations because, you know, after Katrina, many people, especially Black people, were not able to return to the city, my family included. But then other people get to move in who can pay higher prices, right? And I feel like that is the same thing we'll be seeing, you know, after all of these disasters, is people have been living in areas for generations, or especially for indigenous people in Louisiana who have now been affected. Are they going to be able to still be in that area that, you know, they associate with themselves? But Klie, you can talk too. I just was adding that point.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I think one thing I would want to really keep in mind at this point on the housing front, it's not just one city or one state. Like, we have to completely undo our entire way of thinking about housing everywhere. You know, like what we're seeing in Louisiana, for example, is last year, the same time Hurricane Laura hit, it resulted in a huge increase in unhoused folks in Southwest Louisiana. Many of them came over to New Orleans. Many people are still unhoused. So they're unhoused now, and then Ida hits. And so they also have less housing in New Orleans available. And so now they're going to have to go to a third place. You know, we've, in our mutual aid group, been sending folks to Atlanta to our another mutual aid group that we're sort of coordinating with, especially for storms as they hit whatever coast. But at this point, you know, freedom of movement is just going to be incredibly essential to keeping people healthy. And so I could talk a long time for sure about gentrification and grief. Yeah, I think currently, as like a Creole Indigenous Native New Orleanian, like I have been grieving the loss of a home. And at the same time, it's now even so much bigger than that, and which is hard to fathom because the gentrification issue is already huge. But we're to the point in which, like, we have to like step back and do something on a national and international level. You know, part of the folks we've been working with too are like migrant seafood workers and oil and gas folks who do not have jobs and haven't steady pay before and are treated unfairly. So, you know, undocumented folks are certainly at a greater risk of being unhoused right now. And they need somewhere to go too. And, you know, and this is across the board. This is everywhere. My experience was Louisiana, but this is true when there are fires and everything. So it's a big thing to consider, but it's a big thing that we need to consider right now.
Houston, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, thank you. Some of the things that Klie was talking about remind me about some things that we're working on. Big things to consider, doing things on a national, international level. We have in my community, among the Miccosukee and Seminole people, one of our elders who's fighting COVID right now. But one of the things that he always asks of audience that invite him to speak is, what are you willing to give up forever? And so I think that those are some really important questions that we as people have to really decide on. But aside from our personal changes of our personal lifestyles and the energy demands that we place on the planet, I think that yeah, people do need to adjust the way that they're living, but on a bigger scale, we do need to hold our communities, the corporations, and the nations accountable, because those are the big players that are like spewing massive tons of carbon into the atmosphere. And so I think on that level, I want to remind and introduce to our friends that are watching today that there's a couple tools that my nonprofit helped to create. And this tool that I'm talking about is an accountability framework. And it was really created by a group of people from 6 cities all across America that were convened by the Sierra Club. And what we did was we created a framework that cities and communities can use to hold themselves accountable as they transition to the clean and renewable energy. So if y'all have a chance to check out our website, go to lovetheeverglades.org and go to the blog section. And it should be the top blog at the website. And you can download the framework as well as the guide that gives you instructions on how to use it. But basically, communities are going to be identifying the factors that they need to track as they transition to clean and renewable energies. And one of the good things about these tools and the conversations that we had is that we are prioritizing underserved communities, Black, Indigenous, people of color, low-income communities, and giving them the benefits that would accrue as we change over to cleaner, renewable energy systems. And so go to our blog again at lovetheeverglades.org and download these tools and use them in your communities and keep track of the things that we need to keep track as we transition to better ways of living. So I think that overall, though, even though we're struggling for the things that we know is possible. And what is the things that we know is possible is foundationally the sense of community, the sense of joy, the sense of happiness, and that smile that V was talking about. Like, there's definitely struggles that we have. But for me and my community, one of the things that we do is we keep our ceremonies. And one of the ways that we translate the name for these ceremonies is about happiness. So in spite of it all, we're going to continue to work our gardens. We're going to continue to sing our songs and our dances and share these things with each other. And so I think even though we have some difficult things to face, let's also continue to uplift that as well.
Thank you. And just touching on that, everyone has mentioned stuff about community, and Houston, you've mentioned it a couple of times now, and everyone can answer this, but do you want to define for the people viewing what is mutual aid and why is it important, and what do you see as its power and potential, how does it differ from charities like the Red Cross or like from things that NGOs do?
Okay, I can jump in and I'll step back. So one, I just want to note that mutual aid and relief work is two different things. Mutual aid is usually when folks give and then people give back, right? It could be time, it could be other resources, all people put together to be able to serve one another. That's work that's been happening in our community before it had a name. Um, Mutual aid, you know, people would cook a big pot of food and everybody could come eat, or um, I need to borrow some sugar and some eggs. Like that's all mutual aid, right? You give, well, you feel a need, you see a need, you feel a need, right? And usually you'll have an organization or a group or a person that are grounded in the community. Um, and honestly, that definitely lifts the load off of people throughout your community when they know that when they run short or they don't have, that they can lean on their neighbors in their community to support them through this thing. And the mutuality of it is you give as much as you can, and when you can't give, somebody else can give, right? And that type of work has been happening since forever, before the colonization of the Turtle Island, back in Africa, before Africans were stolen in other parts of the world. We've been doing that for a very, very long time. And I hope, well, not hope, people are still doing it now all over, everywhere. That's what happens, right? Community serving community. And it's super important because y'all, the government hasn't been showing up for a very, very long time. For a very, very long time. And I don't know if folks are understanding this economy, even though America could just print more money, but that's another conversation. They're saying the resources are getting tight, right? And we know who is going to get tight for the most. We've seen that during the pandemic. We saw that we see that all the time, not just during disasters, but when stuff like droughts hit throughout different parts of the world. And it's always community helping community. So mutual aid is a framework that everyone should be using. This is the best way to me to serve community. Outside of disaster relief work, I'm doing mutual aid most of the time. And it looks different, y'all. It doesn't have to look like an organization bringing in pans and doing stuff like that. It could be you setting up in your front yard. It could be you knocking on your neighbor's doors. It could be you doing something at the park once a month. It could be a lot of different things, right? And then allowing community to come in and serve themselves too, right? So sometimes that look like the way you serve being different. NGOs, the nonprofit industrial complex, will tell you like, hey, you have to have the OSHA thing and all of these certifications and gloves and all of this stuff. Now we want to be safe, right? I don't serve people nothing. I won't serve my family. So that's my own personal rules. But when you go out in community, you can tell people, hey, you can do the things, you can come here, we can support each other to get these resources out to community. And honestly, it feels better for the people who's doing the serving and the people who are being served.
Yeah, I appreciate you pointing out like that mutual aid and disaster relief are different things, absolutely. And also that it is not new. It's not even new by that name in this land that we're on. Like for example, in New Orleans, that name even was being used in the 1700s. We had mutual aid organizations pop up using like the principles of the Haitian Revolution, the French Revolution. And I mean, this is after indigenous people here were already practicing mutual aid long before that. In terms of disaster relief, I think for us, using that strategy in our relief work has meant that we've been able to meet needs that aren't necessarily normally met. And it also, mutual aid holds the door open for folks to contribute in whatever way they can. So instead of like going to a FEMA distribution and you're just given like water and that's it, people know that they can come to our school, which is an elementary school on loan right now, and be like, hey, and this is actually how we got some of our healers. Somebody reached out and was like, hey, I was sitting here and I was like, you know what? Mutual aid isn't capitalist. I can do something right now. I can do something at the school. I'm a healer. I do Reiki. Can I come offer that to people? And so this person is a Black trans person. We are in a Black neighborhood. They're like out front under a tent, and they're like, I really want to, heal Black bodies right now, and be like that kind of safe space for someone. So having a model in which it recognizes everyone's contribution, be like you said, like that people can just offer a smile, even like that can change something for sure. But they can offer any kind of talents that they have, I think is a more expansive way of thinking about how we respond to disasters. And with Hurricane Laura, it's how we got like crayons to kids, and we were cooking birthday cakes for people. And it was everything from, spiritual and emotional support to actual tangible supplies. And all of those things will be important if we want to get through things in a less traumatized way, honestly, and a more joyful way. Folks are offering to sing and to dance. I think the world that we want to build is one that is singing and dancing. And so sort of the mutual aid strategy like keeps the door open for that. And yes, it's not always called mutual aid. It's often not called mutual aid.
And I just want to say thank you very much to Klie, Maha, and V for your leadership in showing us what mutual aid is about and what it can look like. Like this is mutual aid right now, what we're doing, whether it's pairing cutting edge screenwriting with a climate justice panel. This is what mutual aid can look like too. And it's about doing what you can with what you got where you are. And so I think that whatever we can do to thrive together. And so there's mutual aid organizations that us indigenous communities have built too that we can also support, because even though we have built these to serve indigenous communities, we're also doing what we can to serve our neighbors as well. And so one of the organizations that I would like to uplift is the United South and Eastern Tribes. And this organization called USET is made up of 27 indigenous nations across Turtle Island. And so this is something that we have done for mutual aid for indigenous communities, but we also serve our neighbors in times of crisis and in times of need, like we're talking about today. So I think that mutual aid can take all kinds of forms, and I want to thank y'all for your leadership in putting this together. And this is what it can look like as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I do think that there can be a role for the arts in mutual aid efforts as well. I think it's important for art to also be able to tell stories and to preserve the stories of communities that tend to be overlooked or more vulnerable. That is something that I have tried to do with Blacklight, to tell a story about the generation that went through Katrina. But we're coming to an end. So I just wanted to close out with saying, Houston, in your bio, you invite others to join you in creating portals between worlds. And I think this is great because we do this work to imagine and build the type of world that we want to live in the future. So if you want to close out everyone by, if everyone can say what they're hopeful about, or what they hope for in the future, or something that they're hopeful about right now in their work that they're doing, and tell the audience how they can continue to support you or follow what you're doing, or get more involved.
Thank you very much, Maha. To close us out, I think that what gives me hope in terms of what I do is the resiliency of nature. Whenever we see restoration projects happen on the ground, nature bounces back. So whatever we can do to support restoration projects and the natural cycles of nature. And to support our movement, you can visit the website lovetheeverglades.org, and we have a PayPal link there. And we also love prayers and poems as well. Thank you.
Valencia or Klie?
Sure. Thank you all so much for having me today. This was great. Um, I always think about this one quote, all the issues we fight mean nothing if we don't have an earth to inhabit. And I know people sometimes think about climate and environmental injustices as like a afterthought. But the thing that will abolish all other systems will be the earth fixing herself. So we should definitely pay attention. Um, we still out here, we still serving, and we would love for you all to join us. You all can donate to the Smile Trust at mthsmile.com. And also, we are always looking for volunteers. We do ask folks to wear masks, but we're looking for volunteers if you're in the Miami area. And you can follow us on social media on all platforms. It's at The Smile Trust Inc. And for my personal social, it's Valencia Gunder. I actually use my government name on social. They already surveyed me, so what else? And thank y'all so much for this and bringing our work into this space and sharing it with your audience. I really appreciate it.
I'd say what brings me hope is people and everything that's all around us. Also the land, you know, when I'm feeling the most stressed out, I sort of just, I try to sit in dirt somewhere, you know, and just remember that, like, I am part of this land and this land is part of me, and that will always be the case. You know, I think we're told a lot that we're sort of like in this fight with nature, but we're not. We are ourselves nature, and we will continue. We will continue on. We'll figure it out. And there's so much hope and peace in that. There's a lot of belonging in that, and I think there's, in these moments of crisis, I think half of the trauma we have, at least, is feeling like we don't belong, but we absolutely do. If folks want to connect with our work, you can find us online at imaginewaterworks.org. We're also on various social media things, so I'll see you out there.
Awesome, thank you. And if you want to follow Blacklight or anything that we're doing with that, it is Blacklight on TV. That's the name on Twitter. If you want to follow me personally, that my Twitter is Spooky Shabazz. Shabazz is SHABAZZ. And you can also, this is going to stay up on YouTube, so you can also share this conversation. You can also, anyone watching can also retweet the organizations so that we can continue to push people to donate to these things, because as we've talked about, this is something that's happening in real time. This is not theoretical, it's happening right now, and it's happening back to back. We're getting hurricanes back to back, we're getting hurricanes on top of pandemics, we're getting fires. This is something that's happening right now, so you can follow all of our social medias and continue to support the work that everyone is doing. Thank you so much, guys. I know that, you know, it's been a long couple of weeks, so thank you so much for joining us and taking time to talk with us.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to personally thank you all for being a part of our festival this year. Thank you, Maha, for reaching out a while ago. This is so funny because you were like one of the first people to reach out in regards to collaborating for our festival, and you get to close our festival. And it's so timely what we're trying to do this year. We wanted to do an outdoor screening event that was canceled due to weather. So it's very much like, yeah, we are all trying to find our footing on this earth. That I don't like necessarily saying we when it comes to climate change conversations, because like as a Black person who is not really in a position of power, I'm not responsible for like the oil and all of that stuff. But at the same time, you know, we're all in this together. So technically, you know, we are dealing with everything that you all talked about. So I'm just really grateful to be able to have this conversation live on the festival's archive and YouTube. As Maha mentioned, the festival will also be matching $100 donations. Wait a minute. Donations up to $100 because we also, you know, a small org, but we're very inspired by what you all are doing on the ground. And you know, we gotta take care of us. And I'm just really thankful for you all being a part of our festival this year. So I'm also running tech for this, so I'm gonna sweetly just remove everyone so I can save my final pieces for the festival, and then we'll be done. So if we want to wave, let's wave. So yeah, thanks again to everyone who came out to the Black Femme Supremacy Film Festival this year. Our theme is climate change. It's an exceptional year. And I'm so honored to be able to witness people really doing that work that's vital for all of our survival. I want to thank the team, Hilda, Angela, Maya, Jody, Zoe, Sama, and the wonderful folks at Sisterhood Media, my advisory board members, RWD Foundation for funding us, Brioxy for supporting us, and everyone who's always just made sure that we can continue to do this work even in the middle of a pandemic. So if you have not saw anything yet from this week, you have until midnight tonight to watch it. But these videos, these conversations that you're watching via StreamYard or YouTube or Facebook will live at our YouTube forever. Black Femme Supremacy Fest. We are BFS Film Fest on Twitter and IG. BFSfilmfest.com for all other things. And yeah, stay safe out there, y'all.